Reduce, reuse, recycle. That has been a mantra for a lot of environmentalists. A call to make the world a healthier and safer place to live in cannot be overemphasized. The recycling business in Nigeria still needs a lot of work, but artists are playing a big role in turning waste to wealth. And we'll meet one of them on this week's edition of the show. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Welcome. We'll also see how some artists are trying to spread some Christmas cheer. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this art house together.
An artist has only his dreams. He has no power.
Yet another place is an exhibition by an artist who always tries to bring shock factor to the hall anytime he exhibits. Old tires and other worn-out materials were just a part of the ingredients for cooking up his next solo show.
The conversation continues 3 years after Richard Theo's first solo exhibition, but this time it's seen in yet another place.
Talking about the project and the ideas for the work, and then in 2013 started making the works.
The rendezvous with his environment intensifies with the most unusual suspects: tires, old jam locks, mild steel, perspex sheets, composite boards, just to mention a few.
As part of my practice, I like to tap into mundane materials, into objects, to use them as a way to create my narrative. I believe that in objects, objects tell stories, and in them you can find the relevant stories or the relevant information that you need, because they are, as for every space, used to create spaces. And so these objects kind of tell of time. They have their own histories, and if one is able to observe them enough, you'll be able to, so all these materials have significant meanings to me, to each body of work at which they're used for.
I think there's something that stands out, which is the artist's use of materials, which is the wheel in particular, the proliferation of materials. It's not enough for the artist to have the materials, in great numbers. It is the use, it is how you select the materials. That is where the creativity comes in.
Through several sculptural pieces and installations, this artist explores the idea of space. Is it just a house, a shelter, a prison? What's the idea of a home?
The first title we had was Ibugbe, which means shelter, because it's basically about a home as a space, memory history, and then somewhere along the project we changed it into yet another place. Now, because it's basically about my experience with spaces, how people create space, and especially the home, through external influences, and how these external influences also, all these influences from the home, recreate the environment of the society.
Well, his standout piece for me is this piece, Love Story, and I think it's very, very insightful, especially when you look at it. It's a very beautiful piece. When you look closely, you see lots of people around. Around it, you see the bicycle spoke. So he's talking about interconnected families, interconnected communities. And those are the people in the background that you can see that show some of this interconnectedness with the cycle from the bicycle. And you can see the spokes of the bicycle talking about this interconnectivity. It's a beautiful piece, and it's very difficult actually to even pick any piece because all of them are indeed very beautiful.
We met these forms before in his first show, a rather intriguing experience to realize that everything symbolizes something. Like the door, for instance, which was christened without borders and used as a metaphor. The burglary spells security, no need to take chances as opportunity makes a thief. Net means health. It is wealth for the body to keep the mosquitoes at bay. These are all part of the special effects that do a lot. For the door, depending on what side of the divide you're located, wanting to come in or trying to figure out if you want to give your audience a grand tour.
I like to keep my works open for people to be able to read meanings to it and be able to learn, because if I say everything, I might just be locking the idea in a box. But they reference the idea of home to me. My first solo exhibition, I used doors primarily to make the works, doors as points of ambivalence. And so this time I was not going to use the doors, but I wanted to continue in that same steed of using mundane materials. So I decided to take a primary element on the door, which is the lock. So it's basically my experience with how it is to construct a home at a space, using Shomolu, where I reside, as my case study. And then also I had moved to a new space. So I was also trying to document that transition from where I was before to where I am now.
These works of art are a dialogue that tries to explore the different strata in the economy, from the street urchins to the middle class, and touches on the blue blood who really never have to break a sweat to make ends meet. In this world, we have them all, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I was always taken to church by my dad, my parents, and at some point I joined the choir, and having to think about what it meant to be in the choir. One of my favorite times was when we were going to perform special numbers. And that work is titled Special Number, and I was a guitarist, so I played the guitars at that time. And so I think my position for the choir is the fact that the song is good because of the band and not because of you. You're singing, you're doing well, but it's not because of you. If the song is good, it's because of that collective. And so in most cases, the will kind of represents the idea of the collective to me. I am because we are, which is, I think, is something that we need to always re-emphasize now in contemporary societies, that it's not just about you, it's also about people around you, for us to have a passion for the other, yes.
Richardson's mind is an ocean. One can tell from the way he has titled the pieces. We see blank page 3, a 124.5 by 124.5 cm work done with copper wire and perspex. It takes the illusion of a girl. If the audience tries to figure out what's going on in that pretty head of hers, look again. Check the title in case you like to fill the blanks, but remember, there are 2 other series from where that came.
In a home, the role women play is quite important, and so I sometimes like to excite myself when I make work. I think some of the work you make can be very serious, and some of the work you make should have humor, and even when they look funny, they should still convey certain meanings. And I wanted to tap into that space of women in a home, and I tried to take it from a social point of view, which is the gilly, party, something that's very similar to women, and so try to play with that architectonic, as one of my boss would call it, and just celebrate the women from that perspective.
He's used a lot of language that, from his neighborhood of Shomolu and in Lagos, especially when it comes to housing. Words like tenement rate, words like not for sale, words like this house is for sale, words like to let. These all have to do with social infrastructure. And here you can find the artist who is alive to his social responsibility. So he's bringing a lot of these words into his work, and that's one of for me, that's one of the functions of art, how art can build society positively. So you can see that he's brought a lot of it into his sculptures, and it's something new that he's experimenting with, using words in visuals as well, and using even stencils from his printer's workshop, to communicate, what he's trying to say about housing and social infrastructure.
The artist is taking the highway. Sculptural pieces could attract an art enthusiast purse, but installations are usually done to prove a point or draw attention to a particular subject. So what's Richardson's story?
Sometimes as an artist you walk and you step back and then you begin to recollect why you've made certain things. After production, I realized that I had an interest in the soldiers, probably because I went to a military school. My secondary school, I attended Command Secondary School, Abakaliki. And then now, having to see all the crises happening around the world, and then, one gets to understand the deep involvement of the military in these things. I know somewhere that they also have families, and they come from homes, and they come from space. So it's in my own way to begin to tap into their space, their home. So the works are titled Love Story. So it's like their love story with their friends, with their family. We just share these spaces with. How do they manage this thing? And just that kind of silent conversation with myself as regards some of those things.
I've always advocated that time is a very, very essential ingredient as far as the evolution, the crafting of art is concerned, if you like. That is why I've also acted that to my own ingredients when it comes to what it takes to produce art. Because you can have an idea. You can have an idea, say this year, 2015, and you might not have, because what to do with the idea is very, very crucial. You might not know what to do with the idea, so to speak. So you take time to think of what to that's why when an artist walks alone, you dialogue with yourself. You're able to, it's different from workshops. In workshops, you are able to talk. But when you're working with yourself, you are criticizing. You're at your most critical, if you like. You're talking to yourself, trying to say, no, I don't like this. I want this. So at the end of the day, a whole year, 1.5 years will pass, and you come up with a very brilliant idea. So time is a very, very, I think it's worth it.
There is no easy road to success, and this graduate of Yaba College of Technology is not afraid to try.
Now, if you thought those works of art were amazing, then you'll be eager to know what runs through the minds of some artists before any exhibition. There's a lot of studying, practicing, and training. You'll get the details in a moment.
He took up a government post as a civilian administrator for the port city of Bonny in the Niger Delta. And during the Nigerian Civil War, he was a strong supporter of the federal cause against the Biafrans. He was a writer and producer.